Today in this video, I would like to share how to test the power supply and how to use the power supply. So whenever you purchase the power supply, we have to specify the voltage and the ampere. And the first model is for the watt, right? So 36 is 36 watt and 12 is the voltage output, 12 volt. So the input is 110 or 220 volt. So plus and minus 15%. So this can be less and that can be more 15%. Okay, so this is the input range and the important output. So why we need to purchase the power supply? Because we want to have a specific voltage output and the ampere. So the voltage output and the ampere as well, very important. So this is made in China, and that you can purchase any brand and any country made. So the most important is the voltage and ampere. Why we need to use 12 volt and 3 ampere? Why not 1 ampere or 2 ampere? So that is very important. We have to really careful about the voltage output and the ampere, because this voltage output, the first, for example, to understand, I'm going to use one DC motor. So my DC motor is 12 volt, so I need to have 12 volt. 3 ampere is equal to 36. 36 is the watt, and so 36 watt is divided by 12 and you will get 3 ampere. So basically watt and ampere. So if you didn't know the ampere, you just divide 36 divided by 12, then you get 3 ampere. If you don't know the watt, then 12 you times 3, then you will get 36. Alright, so 36 watt and 3 amp, this is the same thing. The calculation is different. Okay, so I'm going to drive this 12 volt DC motor. That's why I need to use 12 volt DC. Okay, the first thing. And this DC motor will draw the current less than 3 ampere. So this one, the small power supply, is good enough to drive my DC motor. So for example, if you want to use 3 pieces DC motor, you cannot use the small power supply. You might need to upgrade 6 ampere because of the DC motor current draw is much more bigger than the power supply ampere, and then by the time your power supply will be damaged. So this is why we have to specify about your power supply output and the voltage. Voltage and ampere is depending on the device we are going to use. So we have to be careful when we supply the power here. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there is a 5 terminal pins here, and here they already mentioned live. L is for the live wire, the input, AC, and this is N. N stands for neutral, and this is for the ground. And here is negative output, positive output, and this is to adjust the voltage. Right, so to do that, it's very simple. I get this is power supply. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is to adjust. So this is live and neutral, and this is ground. Right. And this is negative, and this is positive. This is output. Out, this is in. So the live wire, they will comes from here. This is live, and this is a neutral, and this is a ground, and this input 240 voltage or 110 voltage. This in, and here's the out. So negative, positive, and you might need to have the switch if you require, and here's DC motor. So the DC motor is less than 3 ampere, and this is 12 volt 3 ampere. So the output DC motor is less than 3 ampere, so this 12 volt 3 ampere power supply is just good enough. If the output is, for example, 4 ampere and the power supply is 3 ampere, then the power supply will burn, so will not enough. Alright, so once you start running the motor, the power supply will be burned. But now my power supply is 3 ampere and the DC motor is less than 3 ampere, so this is safe. So all the time we have to calculate it. Okay, so we get back to wiring here. So this is 3 wire. You don't need to use the big size of the cable. If you have the small size, this will be good enough. Okay, but there must be the 3 wire. So live wire. Oh, I have one video which wire is live, which wire is neutral, which wire is the ground. I have one video in description, you can check it out. That will be how to wire the plug point. So live is a brown color. Brown color live will goes to L, and the neutral will goes to neutral. And this is a ground. You don't need to use this much big cable size, because I'm using here the big size because I just have the big size of the cable. Right, so this is the input, live, and neutral, and a ground, right? And these two will be output. So let me plug into the plug point here. After you turn on the switch here, don't touch on the body because this is a metal. So if your power supply is damaged or your power supply is already burnt out, the body can be short. So switch on the power. Alright, so there is LED here, and to make sure the power supply voltage output, we have to test the output. So to test that, I'm going to use a digital multimeter here. I'll select to the DC voltage and negative, positive. So I get 11.92 voltage. So the voltage is, if less than written, you can adjust this here. The variable resistor, this is to adjust the output voltage. This is decrease, and this is increase. So we get 12 volt. You can adjust the voltage up to, let us test and see. So we can adjust is 13 volt. Alright, 13.5. The idea that they put the variable resistor to adjust the voltage is this kind of the switching power supply you can use as battery charger. Right, so what kind of a battery charger we can use is here. For example, you have a 12 volt battery, any size, 12 volt battery. If you have 12 volt battery, this is 12 volt 5Ah. And if you don't have the battery charger, you can use this kind of switching power supply to charge the battery. Right, but you have to adjust more than 12 volt. Because this is 12 volt, then the output from power supply also 12 volt, you cannot use as charger. This is the reason that to adjust more than 12 volt, so probably like 13.5. Let me test again. So this is 13.4. So now my output is 20.4. So I can use this power supply to charge this 12 volt battery. This is why the reason they put it just variable resistor. So my get back to my DC motor. My DC motor is 12 volt, so I need to set it to DC motor. So you don't have to adjust the variable resistor, the voltage, unless you use as charger. So always put to 12 volt because I'm going to use 12 volt DC motor. Alright, so turn it off first. Negative, we goes to the negative. Positive, we goes to positive. So positive and negative, and let me turn it on the power here. Right, so my DC motor is working, but I don't have the switch here, so I need to turn it off from here. So the DC motor, basically there is no positive and negative. Basically there's positive and negative, but the DC motor you can use as forward and reverse. So now this position is clockwise, right? Turning to this side. If you reverse positive and negative to the other side, so negative will come to here and positive will go to this side, and the rotation of the motor will be a different reverse. So if you're using to the proper way, you need to have one switch from here. Alright, we turn it off. Whenever you want to test the power supply unit, make sure that you have the correct voltage, specific voltage, and you don't touch with your finger. You don't touch with your finger on the body, because we doesn't know the power supply is already there. It's a short circuit, so that the voltage can short our body. Alright, so I hope this video will help for someone, and thank you for watching my video.